Billed him as a potential first-time winner on the European Tour this weekend, and everything he's done so far today has, well, certainly not dampened my enthusiasm. An astonishing win over Kim Huybrechts, in which he averaged over 107, the highest average of the weekend by some distance. But he is up against a man who is, well, proving to be one of the stories of this astonishing weekend at the Austrian Darts Open in Vienna. Kim Viljanen of Finland, making only his second European Tour appearance. He's guaranteed £4,000 for his efforts already. Paul Nicholson, is he capable of going one stage further at least?
I'm not so sure this time. He's taken Peter Wright out, and he only averaged about 85 to 86 for that one. He took his chances. He played very well against Chris Dobey earlier on this afternoon. I just feel, with all due respect to the Finn, that Joe Cullen, at this point in time, may be one step too far. But we're about to find out.
We are indeed.
Ladies and gentlemen, first leg, Kim to throw first. Game on.
Taking over for this one. Joe Cullen with an overall average of 102.79. Just a further illustration, there we see, in black and white, of the sort of weekend he has been having. 98.42 his average against Jamie Lewis in his second round match, 107.45 against Kim Huybrechts. The first 9 average as well against Kim was the highest of the weekend, 121.93. Just getting out of the blocks, suffocating Huybrechts in the process,
60.
and just not giving him any opportunity to settle whatsoever.
One thing we do know is that Kim Viljanen isn't phased when he goes behind by a couple of legs,
as he has proved twice already this weekend. Trailed Peter Wright 2-0, came back to win that one. Trailed Dobey 2-0, won 6 on the spin.
130.
He should have been nowhere near that flight. He's either misthrown it
Game shot on the first
or it's slipped. Main thing is, he's 1-0 down.
It was interesting when he went for the 16. I thought there was a slight hesitation. He may have been thinking about going for 20-18 instead. There just seemed to be that split second of thought process, and he went for the 16. Came back at the tops.
We talked about it earlier in the weekend. You've got to have a game plan, whether it's going into a leg or when you've got 76 left. You've got to know that if you miss the 60, are you going to go for the 20 or are you going to go for the 16? You should know before you even get into the black zone.
Yeah. Well, it would be quite interesting if Cullen opened up a 2-0 lead, just to see if it happen again with Viljanen.
Just sending a message to all his fans back home, including his wife Tony, that if Joe goes 2-0 up, start panicking.
Yeah.
100.
Certainly don't start counting your chickens. That would be the message. But yeah, Joe Cullen is a very different animal to Chris Dobey.
93.
And that's with the greatest of respect to Chris as well. I'm just talking about the way that Joe is playing right here and now. That said, Chris Dobey was in flying form. He won 11 legs on the spin over the course of his 3 matches this weekend.
140.
He said he's looking for a nickname. We heard a rumour that he's called Babyface, but there is another player in the Australasian region called David Platt who's got that one.
96.
So we may have to think of a new one for the Finn. It could be the form roadblock, because that's what he's been doing this weekend.
90. Joe Uruguay 154.
2 treble 19s will leave tops. They'd be happy just to leave a nice even number now.
94.
And that'll do.
Uruguay 111.
Putting pressure on the Finn. Can only get one shot at a double if he hits a treble. Gets the treble, double top. Oh, that's very good, you know. And that's about as much emotion as you get from a player from Finland. The tiny fist pump, and the adrenaline is pumping through the icy veins of the guy from Scandinavia.
Yeah, 9-4 outsider at the start of play in this match. For the match itself, Cullen was 3-1 on. And of course, Viljanen was the outsider of the 8 players left standing at the start of play this evening as well. But he has a leg on the board.
34.
Joe Cullen as well has producing high averages. I mean, he's been rattling in the 180s as well. He's had 9 so far this weekend.
91.
9 in his first 2 matches, I should say.
When you look through history, Rob, about who has won a Pro Tour event, be it a European Tour or a Players' Championship, everybody who has won one has definitely earned it, but there are a few that you think, I can't believe
100.
he actually won one. Have you ever heard the Felix McBrearty story?
I can't say I have, Paul.
That was about a decade ago, and nobody knew who Felix McBrearty was. Turned up to an event in Ireland, and he won it. Beat everybody that day, and since then, everybody remembers Felix McBrearty for the day that he had. We didn't see much of him after that. We saw him at the World Championships and the Players' Championship finals, and maybe a few more Pro Tours, and that was it. That's all we saw of Felix.
Well, we will see Viljanen next weekend in Leverkusen. He's already qualified for that. Double 18.
74. Sure, you require 126.
He's making Joe Cullen think of it.
He certainly is. Cullen, well, 69 away. Bullseye then. Oh, Joe Cullen.
Well, then it's Joe to go first.
It takes real world class to do just that.
Dynamite stuff. 1-1-1 for Viljanen. 1-2-6 for Cullen.
134.
Just continuing where he left off against Kim Huybrechts, isn't he?
And it's the maturity right now of Joe Cullen that's impressing me, because a lot of players who are on form and have got a lot of confidence, like Joe has, would have probably had a bit of a scream, including myself, in that position. I would have given a bit of a grunt. He didn't do that. He understands where he is in the match,
60.
knows there's a lot of work to do, so he just picks the darts out of the board and gets back to work.
Just wonder whether that's knocked the stuffing out of Viljanen a bit, because he was
125.
in contention in that third leg.
Well, he could say he's only got himself to blame. He did miss double 18.
59.
Yep.
That's the...
He would have been hopeful of coming back, I suppose. But you can't afford to rely on hope.
Can't afford any mistakes.
You need to satisfy your side of the equation and eradicate the threat from your opponent completely.
57.
Do you know how to win a darts match, Rob? Don't give your opponent a match dart. Pretty simple. It's everything that goes before it is the hard bit.
100.
Joe Cullen has just lost his range on the 60 right now. He just needs to refine
83.
his first dart.
151.
Mind you, he might come back for this 108. However, Viljanen's got topped for a 151. Biggest shot of the weekend so far, in my book. That is something. That's a finishing clinic, isn't it?
1-1-1. 1-2-6 for Cullen. 1-5-1 for Viljanen. Biggest checkout of the weekend. 2 apiece. 4 breaks of throw. What?
I hate to break your heart, Joe, but he can.
Yeah. He's the sort of player where you feel, well, the bubble has to burst sooner or later, but there's no sign of that happening whatsoever.
81.
We used to say that about Sulevic in the practice room. We used to say, well, he'll get to the semis, he won't make the final. He might make the quarters now and again, and then all of a sudden, wallop. He just started making finals and started winning.
60.
Hungarian fans in town, judging by the T-shirts, making the journey across the border.
135.
No Hungarian representation here this weekend, but they are giving Kim Viljanen plenty of backing. Cullen on 52 for another break of throw.
Well, you're not going to get your big finish in this leg.
Nope.
94. Jay require 52.
52 or 152, it doesn't matter. Double 16. Lovely. Another really clean double. Those doubles are in trouble right now because they're not being missed.
Game on.
Well, Well, if Kim Viljanen really wants to do the Pro Tour full time at some point, if he wants to take the gamble, you're going to have to play games like this all the time, Kim, because this is what it's like.
It must be a really tough decision now for him, or it must be in the back of his mind about giving this a go.
Well, he's one of the best players I've seen from Scandinavia in a little while, and he's very impressive.
The big issue is the fact that he would have to, well, either put in a lot of travelling or relocate, and he's got to factor everything in terms of his current salary and what have you with his day job, and it's a big commitment. Obviously, it's a big gamble as well. Cullen here, not prepared to gamble anymore, with the prospect of suffering another break of throw, trying to take control once more.
133.
But I tell you what, this guy is showing no signs of letting up.
Another one of those will leave a double.
140.
If Kim fills this up, he'll pressure this double for Cullen.
100. Do you require 8?
Double 4. Double 2. Yeah, not bad at all. Just scamming in his authority on this match now, giving himself a 2-leg cushion. And is he drinking a lot of water on this stage? Of course he is. It's smart. It's very hot out there. Stay hydrated. Don't want to feel at all weary. And out of all the players that I've seen this weekend, he's the one that's drinking the most water.
Yeah. I was just going to say, ignore the scoreboard for the time being. It's playing catch-up once again, but we've removed it for you, so there's no confusion. Back in business once again. Sun 40 for Cullen.
$140.
There's every possibility next week that we could get a Ratashki rematch with the Finn.
Yeah.
It's like a movie, isn't it? Viljanen, Ratashki 2. Or like a UFC fight or something like that.
131.
Tell you what, right now, my money's on Viljanen.
Yeah.
Not in this match, because Joe Cullen is playing very well.
93.
This leg, the Finn has played very well. 9 dots thrown, 93 left. That leaves 43. Now he's got a choice to make. 11 or a 3. This time it's the 11 for double 16.
61.
Well, again, similar situation. He'll be hoping that Joe Cullen fluffs his lines here, but he might not fluff his lines at all. He's hit 2 of those, and he's now looking at 18s.
120.
I love that way to go for 138. I really do. Treble 17 might be the same as the other trebles in size, but it's just a lovely position. Double 16 for Viljanen.
Game shot.
Yeah. Cullen gets punished.
Joe to throw first.
I'm really enjoying this game, and unfortunately it has to end in about 2 or 3 legs time, possibly. But there's the emotion. We haven't seen that in this tournament from Cullen yet. Now we have. He wants this.
You can see what it means. He knows he needs more moments like that. Third 180 of the match for Cullen. That's his 12th of the weekend. Far and away the biggest contributor of the 180s this weekend. There could be another one here, you know. There could be another one. 5 perfect darts for Joe Cullen, but still, the important thing is he's in good shape on his throw here for a 5-3 lead. And Viljanen, well, is he just beginning to run out of steam once again? He got back into the frame by taking that 7th leg, but Joe Cullen just trying to reassert his authority here, going the right way about it and closing in on the 5th leg as well.
89.
Yeah, very nice.
Well, Joe is understanding the situation here, that he's trying to shake off Kim Viljanen, but he's not letting him go. He's like a koala bear with big claws on his shoulders. The only way to get rid of this guy is big scores and hitting your doubles, because he's just going to keep grinding.
Tops. Oh, 92. Went astray with that first start, didn't he? But my word, he recovered well.
Game on.
Well, if big finishing is your thing, this is exactly the sort of match you'll be savouring. 1-1-1 for Viljanen, 1-5-1 as well, 1-2-6 for Joe Cullen on the ball, and then a Very timely 92 as well, despite an errant first start, and Cullen now is just one leg away. He's averaging over 101 at the moment as well. It's another big display of scoring from Joe Cullen. He's just turned it on over the last 2 or 3 legs here.
Well, for someone who doesn't practice doubles, he's pretty good at them.
Yep, 5 from 8 in this match.
96.
We're going to see the king of doubles in the next match against Michael Smith.
Yeah, Mervyn King.
And that's the king of scores. Wasn't that pretty?
All in a line. Perfect linear action from Joe Cullen there.
It's one of those 180s that you could say, well, there's another score from
But
Viljanen.
hang on, Viljanen, he's back in the big stuff once again and looking at 94 now for a hold of throw.
94.
Oh, meme that. Joe Cullen just saying, go away, Kim. You're annoying me. Consummate brilliance
58.
and patience from the Finn just won't go away.
38.
He squared it off down to 160, but you suspect, well, you'd like to think that Viljanen will not give him any sort of opportunity, but maybe just beginning to feel the tension here. Tension, not at all, says Viljanen. On we go. And yet, just cannot lose this guy at all. He keeps reappearing in the rearview mirror. Can he find a manoeuvre to overtake him? And there we see Viljanen has really squared things up on the averages as well. He's managed to just bring them closer together, and this will do his average the world of good as well.
Well, we know Viljanen can squeeze when it comes to really tight matches, because the one he had with Ratajski.
100.
Well, that was just what Cullen needed there. Having opened up with 43, he desperately needed that 180.
One of those games where you just want to put your feet up and keep watching it.
101.
You'd expect Joe Cullen to win this match, but Viljanen is not going to go without a fight. Needs a treble.
60.
Opens the door. If Viljanen puts in a 140 here, we could be going all the way. Good counting. Leaves a finish. Understood that 419s left to finish.
58.
He's got the darts.
164.
Yes, and that final dart for Cullen gets him down to a finish as well. But Viljanen, as you say, maybe in a slightly better position here, especially now.
88 left. The smart choice is the 20s here.
130. You require 160.
Yeah, I thought I got my maths right there. He's left double 17. He might not come back. He might not come back. And he won't come back. Joe Cullen crescendos this magnificent match with a 160 checkout. Take a bow.
Well, in keeping with the rest of the match, Joe Cullen just saves a little something extra for the final act. A 160 checkout to go with everything else that went before us. Superb finishing from both players. Joe Cullen marches into the semi-finals, but take a bow, Kim Viljanen. What a performance this weekend. £4,000 in prize money, a European Tour quarter-final, his first time that he's made it to this stage of a European Tour event in only his second appearance. We'll see him again in Leverkusen next weekend, and I, for one, am very intrigued to see what he can come up with next weekend as well. But that as far as Vienna is concerned. But Joe Cullen, well, back on stage later on for a semi-final against the winner of our next quarter-final, Michael Smith, and Mervyn King on the way for you here.